Hello and welcome. You're viewing the Citizens Journalist podcast, Mesa County Compass, that brings you the news that you can use from a different point of view. I'm Ruth.
I'm Lisa.
And together we are Mesa County Compass. Our goal is to create an informed, current, active citizenry armed with the facts. We will be covering what's new to you, what it means to you, what you can do about it, and provide you access to the decision makers when we can. Good afternoon. We're here this afternoon with Christy Burrows. She is the administrator for Landmark Baptist School. Welcome, Christy. And would you start out by giving us a little bit about yourself, about the school, and about the preschool extended program that you have?
Well, Landmark Baptist School has actually been here in town for over 20 years. I've been teaching at the school I've been here for 15 years. And in the last couple of years, I've been administrating the school. And I love it because the kids have been here since they were in my little class of first graders, and I've watched them grow. And we've added our preschool. Our preschool's been here for 10 years. And so we've always had a preschool in the building. Mm-hmm. And it's neat to watch the kids go from very little all the way on up. And then it's just fun it's like a family feel to it. And that's what I love.
Oh, yeah.
And so we also, at the extended program would be that UPK program that the state of Colorado started this year. And that would be our K-4 class is underneath that umbrella of that UPK.
Okay, yeah. So give us an idea of what UPK is, because a lot of our people don't understand that.
Right.
Understand that. It's the Universal Preschool Program. Now, our school has always offered a K-4 program. And K-4, how we explain that, is kindergarten for 4-year-olds. So it's a little more in depth than just regular preschool. So a regular preschool is a lot of a play-based, but this is just like kindergarten. It's just toned down just a little bit, and it prepares them right for a K-5 program. And so it's a really neat program to have the students in, and I've watched the students who go through that program, how much they excel in the school. And the ones that start in K-5, they still do well, but it just gives them a little bit of a head start. So we worked with the state of Colorado to help our parents out by offering UPK for that program.
All right.
And the Universal Preschool Program is free, right?
That is correct. So the parents qualify for that free. It's a 15-hour program through the state. Our program is a full-day program, but parents can choose to do the 15 hours or go full day.
Okay. Okay. So the Universal Pre-K is just the 15 hours.
That is
and your
correct.
Program is the full program.
That is correct.
Okay. And when I was reading the paper, you were ranked really high in the state for what you do in your program, that kids really learn and they do well, they thrive in this environment, and that you use the ABECA program. Can you tell us a little bit about ABECA? Because you use ABECA both in the school and in pre-K and kindergarten, right?
We do. We use ABECA all the way from K-4. Actually, our preschool also uses some of the ABECA curriculum as well. So we use it from the very start all the way up to 12th grade. And their program is great because it scaffolds very nice. And in education, scaffolding is a term that's like building on top of one concept. So it works together. And since I've been with the school for so long, I've taught first, second, and third grades in the school. And you really see how it works from one year to the next. And it tells you, say this in the curriculum, make sure you use this phrase, because the next year the teacher's going to say the same phrase. And that's really going to build that pathway in that brain for those students, because it's that repetition that they need. And it's so important. So that having that consistent curriculum actually helps them just get that knowledge a little deeper, a little more foundation.
And when we had interviewed you in the Lost interview, we talked a little bit more about ABECA and the importance of that repetition and how many times they need to have that repeated and why that's so valuable, how you teach like that as would not be found in just a regular preschool curriculum.
Yeah, without repetition, it actually takes a normal person 1,000 times of hearing something before we learn it. So when I first started teaching first grade, you know, everybody knows what 1 + 1 is. I ask you that, it's easy. You're thinking, this can be so easy to teach. It was not easy to teach because it's so easy for me to understand it. I didn't realize how much they just didn't understand that concept. But you have to go back and break it down to simple, repetitive steps until they finally just get it, which is the best part of teaching, is when the light bulb goes on and you see it and you're like, yes, they got it. Which what keeps me doing this is because I just live for those light bulb moments. And so each time the student hears it, they get better at that. Some students require up to 3,000 times before they learn something.
Oh, gee.
And so I know parents out there probably, you know, like, yeah, I've told my kids 3,000 times some things, you know, and you're like, I've told you this, why don't you know this? But that's why, because they just haven't learned it yet. And if you stop and think about it, how many things have you had to hear over and over until you learn it? Now, there's ways to help it go faster, and we incorporate those into learning. Like if you learn it in a game or in a song, we tend to grasp it. Yeah, hands-on, we grasp it. So we try to bring that in to help students. But sometimes it just does take that repetition. And Abeka is great at just bringing that through.
And how else does Abeka impact the kids' education and their ability to fit into, you know, society? Because it seems like, and this is just a personal opinion, that typically in a Christian curriculum, you're going to find that kids behave better. Do you tie that in with the program, the teachers, or just the students that are drawn to that in the family life, or what do you attribute?
I think for me, Abeka does have that Christian foundation, and I believe that the Bible answers that when it says that the beginning of all wisdom is the Lord, and the knowledge of the Lord is that beginning. And without that, we don't have wisdom. So I do think that that's important, and that's something that we believe here.
Okay. So what is your application process for the preschool to be included into that universal preschool program?
What did you have to do?
What did you have to do?
Oh, what did we have to do?
Right.
Well, we had to apply with the state to be part of the universal preschool program. Our rooms have to be licensed to the state of Colorado preschool licensing program. And then our teachers have to meet their standards. And all of our teachers have gone through that education process to meet that. And then and then being licensed, the licensing comes out, child care licensing checks our rooms and makes sure that everything is up to their standards as well.
So what kind of time element did that take to get everybody up to speed?
It was a little bit of a time element. Like I said, we've had a preschool that's been licensed for many years. So we were able to go under that umbrella. And me and the preschool director, we work together because we call them co-enrolled right now. They're enrolled in both the school and the preschool. And that helps us get that. So it gives us actually a really strong team in working with that as well. And helps parents understand that bridge from daycare or preschool play-based into more of a school structure.
Okay.
And what part of the day, I mean, it doesn't matter, but do you do the pre-K, the more structured in the morning, and then the daycare type activity in the afternoon, or do you do it throughout? Or
We actually have it simultaneously happening. We do have a play-based preschool room going on. At the same time, we have our structured preschool. So parents have the option of where they want their child to be, and it should be the parent's option. Some children aren't ready for that structure as early as others. So we kind of fill that out, and we help meet that need by having both elements. Nothing wrong with a student that's not ready for that structure.
No.
And nothing wrong for a student that needs to play, to learn. And we're all different. We all learn differently.
Yes,
And
we do.
both ones have play in it. It's just one's more structured than the other. But we offer both, and both can be qualified under UPK.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we understand from the beginning the state leaders plan to offer a universal preschool program in all kinds of settings to provide the maximum amount of choice for parents. How has that changed, do you think, or
At this time, it hasn't changed, but there has been talk about changes that they might make in the future. I'm hoping they would keep in mind that the parents should have the right to have choices and have options, because I believe that parents have the right to choose what their child's learning or how they're learning it. The foundation should be the same. Everyone needs to know 1 + 1 is 2.
Right,
That's
right.
important. Everyone needs to know how to spell cat, and probably with a C-A-T and not a K-A-T. My husband's been joking about how he spells things wrong nowadays
Right.
for products, and it's confusing for students who are learning, but
That has to do with these.
that does have to do with those.
Right.
But
Don't think they're the best influence in the world for
No,
sure.
No.
Well, in the December 3rd edition of the Daily Sentinel, they stated that the Colorado early childhood officials have proposed a ban on religious instruction in preschools. Is this true? Have you heard anything along those lines? And who are these officials? And what gives them the authority to determine such a thing?
those are good questions.
Yeah.
I've heard rumors of things. I have not heard anything from anyone that we've worked with directly. So we would do that. We have always asked, and been upfront with the people in Grand Junction have been really amazing to work with. And those are the early childhood learning adventures and all the people in charge of the UPK on the Western Slope.
Oh, okay.
I think the Western Slope has done an amazing job with the UPK program. There were a lot of problems you heard from Denver schools, and you really never heard that problem happening over here. I think the education and the level of communication over here was stronger. They were upfront with us right away. We always knew students weren't going to be here for full days and be paid for full days. Whereas I know other schools had that impression, but I do think that's where the Western Slope really got ahead of things.
How much impact do you think, though, that the people in the state, in Denver, have? Because we always feel like everything Denver has is just like this
Trickles
is
over
what
here.
we're going to come on. Yeah.
And that is a concern. We're going to still offer our program. We want to give our parents the opportunity to have the funding from the UPK. We feel that they deserve that. In fact, we believe that the parents in Colorado deserve a school of choice.
Right.
Many states offer parents the opportunity to go to a private Christian school, and they will give the tax money those parents are paying to
Vouchers.
they give vouchers to other schools. And I think that that's something that Colorado deserves as well. Our parents deserve that. They're paying taxes. And many of our parents choose our school, and they lose that funding that they're already paying for.
Right.
They
It's
do
like
that
they're double
because
funding.
they do that because they want what we have to offer. And there's nothing wrong with a parent having the choice of where their child goes to school. It should be the parent's choice. It shouldn't be my choice. I mean, I would tell all families they should come to my school.
Right.
Right.
But let's be honest, that's not going to fit for everybody. So
No.
you need to find the school that's right for your student.
And there are some options here, when we get into grade school, that you could choose, again, not funded, except for the charter schools, but just, we do need more choice.
I
More
think
choice. And the
choice is good.
accreditation is nice, because I understand, are accredited too. And I know Messiah Lutheran is an accredited school as well, so they're meeting the academic standards that the state's requiring as well.
Yes, to be accredited, you have to hit a lot of standards. It's not only state, but you can get national accreditation, and that really does change the way a school is run and stuff. And we are accredited with Cognia, so.
Nice. Well, they also said that the same article, this Kevin Wilner, director of the National Education Policy Center, said if our taxpayer money is funding religious exercise, then we're putting ourselves in a position of the state and church getting entangled in a way that the founding fathers were trying to avoid. My understanding of history was not that the founding fathers, it wasn't a freedom from religion. It was a freedom of religion, and that was an integral part of education from until probably the mid 1800s or early 1900s. What's your understanding?
That statement of separation of church and state, often people think that's in our Constitution or it's not. It's actually just in a letter that was written. And if you read the body of the letter, it's talking about the state not interfering with the schools and not interfering with Christian education. So it's really, we've kind of twisted it and said all of a sudden that we can't have Christian education. But what that was supposed to protect was schools to have the right to teach what the parents of the school are supporting. Once again, it goes back to the parent. Mm-hmm. We're taking parents' rights away when we put all of that power in the government's hand to decide what we're teaching. Mm-hmm. And then that's when we actually are taking away that freedom, is how you take it away, mm-hmm. by restricting what is taught and not letting the people have a say. And that's what freedom is people having a say. Mm-hmm. Parents should have the right to choose a Christian school if they're Christian. Mm-hmm. Parents should have the right to choose a non-Christian school if they're not Christian.
Right.
I believe in freedom, so that means I believe there should be schools out there that are not Christian based, mm-hmm. because I want freedom for me.
Right.
That means I have to support freedom for others.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not imposing what my beliefs are on them, so I don't think it's fair that they're imposing their beliefs on my families. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I say my families because that's who's get affected by it, are my parents.
I was going to say, your children are your family here.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Every one of them.
Well, we got a little toughie here. This Werner also worries about religious teaching damaging transgender children because a faith-based program may be intolerant of that child. What do you think about that?
Wow, that is a toughie. I think that a lot of that education becomes more pertinent as a child gets older. But in those younger years, I don't think that's something that I would want my child to be taught, mm-hmm. pro or con. Mm-hmm. And I stick to what the Bible says, and that's what we teach. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of parents that want the Bible to be taught and mm-hmm. want to stick to those principles. Mm-hmm. Do I think it's going to hurt that child? I don't, because we love our children. That's all we do, is we love them, mm-hmm. and we teach them.
Mm-hmm. The last I saw, children really made up their own minds in the end anyway. Regardless of what parents say or regardless of what you say, they wind up being their own person. And the better values mm-hmm. you give them to begin with, the better choices they make.
I would agree with you.
Is that what you would agree with? Huh?
I would agree with you. I think that just having that education, once again, sexual education should not be taught until the secondary levels, as it is, in my opinion. And I think we're starting to teach things to younger students then their minds are not mature enough to mm-hmm. handle. And that would be mm-hmm. my concern. We have already agreed as a nation that there's certain ages that children are not mentally able to make big decisions. And we say that with alcohol, we say that with cigarettes. If we can say that with all that, I don't think they should be making big personal decisions until those ages as well.
Well, we also say that with credit cards. We say that with driving. Yes, we say it with making contracts, that they're not capable of understanding all of, and they can be taken advantage of.
Well, and the ramifications of any one direction to go.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I would say that that's something that I think that we're starting to push at kids at a younger age than we should. And in the public schools, that's my fear. They're mm-hmm. asking questions of students they don't understand, and then they're just answering because they don't understand.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then that's when you can influence someone. I think education is giving understanding, but it's not, we shouldn't be pushing students to make decisions before they're ready.
Basically, you're saying we should stick to reading, writing, and arithmetic for a while.
I think that would be wise.
And social studies.
And social
Don't
studies,
forget
yes.
it.
Don't
Geography
forget
doesn't
history.
hurt either.
No.
Don't forget
No.
history. History is
Yeah.
one of my
Yeah.
favorites. I
Right.
love history.
Well, if the policymakers, because they said that it would be early spring, if they do make the policy changes, what do you see happening to schools like yours? Not necessarily to you, because I know that you will continue to offer your programs, and it'll just be that parents won't be able to avail themselves to some of the free things.
Yeah.
But what do you see that will do to schools like yours if they're able to do that?
I think what it does is it will decrease the size of those classes, because parents, it is a sacrifice for a parent to come to a private school.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't get that exposure. It's a great opportunity right now that they get a chance to see if they fit into this school.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody does. Once
Right.
again, school of choice is something I'm very much an advocate of.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we offer that to parents? This is a first step of offering school of choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we did it. If we can offer it to our parents, and they can have the same privileges of all the other parents in the state of Colorado, which they should have that right,
Mm-hmm.
then they can make the choice. And if they've come here for a year, they can make the choice on whether that's a good fit for them or not. And it's going to hurt that opportunity for the parents. It's going to hurt the parents. I don't foresee it hurting my school. Other schools in the community, it will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, schools rely on, a certain number of students to keep those teachers paid and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I see some private schools might cut their K-4 programs or their preschool programs. Once again, we've always had one. We'll keep one going no matter what. But for those that are just starting to offer it because of this, what a loss to those students.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ones who lose, is the students.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about me or politics. It's about those kids.
Right.
The kids that are losing the opportunity to get an extra year of schooling so they can really thrive and
Mm-hmm.
excel in school.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're missing those phonics, those letters.
Mm.
Because the most important thing is that a student learns to read so they can read the laws, read the Bible, and make decisions for themselves. Because that's the scary part, is if you can't determine all that for yourself, then you're just going on influence of other people. And
Right.
I would never want to be influenced by other people. I would want to be able to make my own knowledgeable decisions.
Very
That's
good.
very good.
Yeah.
Christy, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We do appreciate you consenting to go through this with us.
Mm-hmm.
I think now we have a better understanding of exactly what this program is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming by.
You've been watching Mesa County Compass. This is the truth as we know it, the facts as we see them. You decide.